I think there's a big change going on at the moment, and I think this is one of the main changes. And these, just to sort of say, when all this sun activity affects the Earth, this is the sort of lines, this is the vibrations that it's going to be affecting, and this can give us a heads up on the mood of the human society, you know. And we will be doing this once a week. This is a video just to give you the background information, but we will be sort of like reading the vibrations as they come down the tube to us, won't we?
Don't believe, just know. Cymatic TV, turning vibration into reality.
Hello, welcome back to Cymatic TV. As per usual, you have myself, Tom Lawless, and with me, Tanya Lawton, hypnotherapist, energy hypnotherapist. And we are investigators into the energy fields and the human existence, I can say. Well, that was a bit of a mouthful explanation.
Certainly was. Certainly was.
So, we've been talking a lot. We're going to be doing a video on the event because we need to explain a little bit the background about the event, the book that we've written, which you can just see there. And we also thought, well, it'd be good to do a video on the information that we look at in the background of all the stuff we do, be it the healing, be it the writing, be it the workshops and everything like that. Yeah. So we were going to go through this. You've been learning this for sort of 2 years, haven't you, with me? I've been gradually.
I think it was a fundamental introduction for my understanding and appreciation of the work you do, and just opening up my mind, which before had been very narrow as far as, for example, the sun, which we're going to talk about today. You know, the sun to me was a wonderful thing during the summer. You know, it means a tan, it means feeling good, it's warmth and light and heat. Yeah. But other than that, I hadn't really given it an awful lot of thought or understanding. So when I met you, my world was opened up to much, and it's taken a while to, following your lead, looking at the information that's actually available out there, which it is out there. And, I had no idea. Now I will, out of choice, view that information every day to see what's going on, because I have made the links and I understand, what impact the sun is having on our planet, which in turn is having an effect on us. I had just no idea of the sort of the range and complexity of what the sun does minute by minute, second by second, and the effects that it has on so much.
I have received so many messages from you sort of said, have you seen that coronal coming down? You know what I mean? And it does get fascinating because you can see it coming down the line.
When you're making links between coronal holes and earthquakes, the whole world is interested, well, particularly where earthquakes are happening, they're interested in, in this phenomena. If there was any kind of, safe indicator ahead of time, I'm sure the world would be very interested in this. And, my experience with you is we can discuss what's going on with the sun in the morning, and you might say, oh, well, watch out, there's going to be an earthquake in Indonesia this afternoon, or, in Japan in the next 48 hours. And inevitably it happens, and it's like, okay, so this is not just, suggestion. This is actually real things happening. It's evidence-based, which for me is really important. Sort of coming from the logic, mental side of things.
For me as well.
So it's been a fascinating journey about learning about the sun. The actual physical effect it has on us, the effect on the hot topic of climate change. You have completely changed my way of thinking on that. Our effect on climate change. And the sun's effect on climate change. So that's been a huge shift in my perception. So, and I thank you for that, because it does change things.
It helps us, as far as I gather, it sort of helps us to position ourselves for the responsibility that we take for the environment, for this world we're living in, for the pollution that we're creating, for each other. For everything, but it stops us running around kind of going, oh, the sky's falling in. It may well be falling in, you know what I mean? But at the end of the day, if we don't actually become conscious of what we're dealing with when we're talking about the environment, the problem with climate change over the last 20 years is that, even goes further back than that we've never taken into consideration, the IPCC has never taken into consideration the effects of solar radiation, of solar activity on the climate of this planet. And it's like ignoring a herd of elephants in the room. It's not just an elephant, it's a herd of elephants in the room. And the elephant dung is starting to smell so strongly that the IPCC have for the first time in 30 years, put solar radiation into the models, and they're going to have their first report that comes out in the next 18 months. But already we're getting glimpses of what they're discovering, and all of a sudden it has changed everything of how we're looking at the climate. And I think this CO2 thing, which they've been pushing over the last 20 years, will really start to take a backseat. I, like yourself, we do not want to pollute our environment. We are totally in agreement with that. That is a completely different kettle of fish. But if we're talking about long-term climate predictions, we really need to get our heads around what's going on. So
I think there is more focus though now. I think there is more focus. There are more cameras. There are more satellites. They're getting close to the sun. They are taking, paying much more attention to what's going on. I see that through our media, that the focus is changing. So I think that, which is a good thing, because more information, more real-time information, potentially is going to save lives, in the future.
Certainly.
Down the line,
it's gonna affect loads of things, the way we actually create our society.
Could you share with us some of the things that you've taught me over the last 2 years, and that my go-tos on a daily basis? We there are some websites and other, in fact, YouTube channels which share fantastic information, daily, and anybody can reach these and look at them, and empower themselves by actually looking at this information and seeing what's going on, and with understanding as well, they can use that information.
Totally. We're going to go through some really basic stuff today.
Okay.
Otherwise we could seriously, I'm not going to teach people about how the sun works in a 10-minute video, because it's the sun, for crying out loud. Do you know what I mean? So we're going to go for some really basic stuff. We're going to be jumping from through the things that we look at on a daily basis. We're only going to give you a glimpse, but I have provided links to all the videos that we use in this video, and all the information that we're using in this video. It is up to each and every single one of us to take responsibility in our lives and in the environment. So please do go and do your own investigation. This is very important. Don't wait for someone else to give you the complete cake on a plateau. You've got to make the cake yourself, and you've got to get involved. The more you get involved, the more you will understand about energy, the more you will understand about our lives, your spirit, and everything. So let's just go in there. We're going to dive straight in with the sun. This is a video of the sun that NASA produced, which is the 10-year cycle. So it's the sun. It lasts a long time. It lasts an hour. But what it's showing is just the sun rotating in front of us, which takes on average 30.56 days to rotate upon itself, which gives us the 31 days, the months of the year. And as we can see here, we can see bright spots here, which is sunspots, and they erupt in our direction, in other directions around the solar system, and that affects everything from astral readings to also humans. So we can see here there's a little bit of activity. If you just look down here on the bottom, as I scroll through, you can, because I'm not going to play the whole thing, you can start seeing that it gets more and more. So we're coming up to sort of 2000, and this is what you're watching at the moment, is still in 2010. If we take it up a little bit further, when the sun cycle is a low cycle, so there's a whole cycle of about 11 year cycle, where there is 5.5 years where there's lots of these bright flashes and these a lot of vibrations that come in the direction of the Earth. And then there's 5 years when there's hardly anything, and there's other things called coronal holes. So let me just bring it forward quite a few years. So this is now in 2014, and we can see how much more active it is. And as it gets more and more active, as it comes to the end of the cycle, it actually starts getting closer and closer to the equator. So it's like a breathing sun. That's how it does, you know, it breathes out and breathes in. It gives us that tidal effect of energy that we get all the time through our thing. As I say, there's links below. If you want to go and sit and watch through it, it is an amazing thing to watch. And I would suggest everyone to take the time to do that. And there is different types of vibration. So let's go into a couple of these. Let's go into the first one, which is a very basic vibrational element. And if you're actually interested in things like Ayurveda, because you're going to be doing something with someone to do with Ayurvedic, hopefully in the future, where you're going to be delving deep into that.
In the field.
Yeah, so in Ayurveda or Indian medicine, you will find the studies of prana. You know, in Chinese medicine, it's the chi energy, or if you look at the ancient Greeks, they used to call it the pneuma, which is pneuma or something like that, which is basically called the breath. And here we can see in this bottom left-hand corner, once you can see my cursor going around it, there is a little filament, and that's being wrapped up around the sun. And occasionally that will then get ripped off the surface of the sun like that, and it will go in our direction. And that will affect the Earth in many different ways. It's a bit like stem cells. That's the best way to describe that sort of vibration. And as I was saying with Vedas, they call them 5 winds of the universe. And that is one of those winds that come from the sun. Another one that comes from the sun, which we were talking about earlier, which is connected to the earthquakes, is the coronal holes. Now, this is this one here, this black hole here. And it's a little bit like looking the outside of the Earth and seeing the holes in the clouds where you can see right through to the beginning, see through right through to the Earth. And actually inside the hole of the sun, it's actually really, really dark. Now, that's a vibration that's really heavy. It can go quite quickly, but nowhere near as quickly as, let's say, a sunspot eruption. Now, that creates a vibration.
Coronal holes have the impact on the earthquakes, don't they?
They tend to have a good impact on the earthquake, on earthquakes. This next one is much more meteorological, so it has a lot more effects on, say, like hurricanes and stuff like that. Hurricane season has been dying down over the last few years, simply because there's been a lot less of these type of eruptions, which are sunspot eruptions, those bright little things that we saw earlier on in that here, where we can see here, where as they erupt off, we get some very, very fast vibrations coming from the sun that hits the Earth. So this is just, you can see here, where you get this bright spot, and where the magnetic fields intertwine, they create a short circuit, which basically sends out a really sharp burst out into the solar system. And those, you can see those bursts coming off with the you can just take that back a bit, and you can see it.
That is a CME. That is a CME flash, isn't it?
Yeah, that is a CME, a coronal massive ejection. And they are incredibly fast solar winds, you know, that come in our direction. Yeah. So what happens is, and this is on my home page, this is just an animation that happens that you can see on my home page. The coronal massive ejection actually comes from the sun, and these are the charged particles that come in the direction. So this is where the magnetic fields connect. The short circuit is created with these sunspots. It sends off a blast in the direction of the Earth. And if you imagine the Earth being like a bell, all these vibrations come whooshing past us. And as it does, some of the particles are caught up in the magnetic field of the Earth. And as it gets caught up, it's swept back into the magnetic field. and it's brought into the north and southern poles, where the particles, the charged particles, mix with oxygen and create this aurora borealis effect. Now, this has a lot of effect on the Earth. It has also a lot of effects on humans. And it's not just the aurora borealis. It's, if you imagine like the Earth, there's a vibration in the middle. It affects the vibration that gradually comes to the surface. It does create latent, that effect creates latent earthquakes, but it does create a lot more things like hurricanes and solar system, meteorological events.
And CMEs can take out our satellites and even our electricity grids if they're strong enough. They can have an impact on our electrical system on the planet.
A famous one, which everyone can look up, is called the Carrington event, which happened in 18 something, which was a long time ago, 1880, I think, and it burnt all the telecommunication wires, which people used to use for teletexting. What was it called? Not texting, Morse. It wasn't Morse code. When it's got beep, beep, beep.
Telegram thing.
Yeah, telegram. Thank you very much. Yeah, telegram. So it burned all of those, and it can also, in recent years, we've seen, electrical transformers explode because of this sort of thing, and it has changed the magnetic field of the Earth because the sun, over the last sort of cycle, has reduced its vibration incredibly after 3 cycles. That's 30 years of very hectic sun vibration, which increased the temperatures on Earth. We're now going into a dive, basically, on the sun, and this is a general dive as well, general reduction of vibration. And the Earth's magnetic field has reduced incredibly over the last 100 odd years, to an extent that, scientists are really starting to ask questions about it. And this is what happens. The magnetic pole, North Pole, moves around. It normally moves in a circular fashion. Yeah. And then we had this Carrington event, which down here, we can see the date down here. Can you see that? Yeah, that 1590. So this was the magnetic field in the 1590s, or predicted what it was. And this is the dot of the North Pole. And as we can see, as it comes up through to, normally it's going around, and it goes around, starts going around. And as soon as it hits the Carrington event, around about now, that's when it really starts shifting in the other direction. And now we can see the speed of where it shifted in that last sort of 20 years. We can see there, it is incredible the speed of which it is now going. In the last 20 years, the magnetic pole has done as much distance as it did in, say, 500-600 years.
So it was over in Canada. I understand now it's heading towards Siberia at speed. Yeah,
exactly. And we can see it here, this little dot here. As it gets up there, it gets pinched there and is now moving over to the other side. Yeah.
So what effect is that going to have potentially going forward?
A lot of people are talking about a magnetic pole shift and stuff like that. And we talk about it in the event. And this is it. Some people have been saying it's pretty scary and stuff like that. But what are you going to do to change your solar system?
When did the last pole shift happen?
It happened.
It does happen periodically. Might be a long time, but it does happen periodically.
It happens roughly around about, I think it's around about 200,000 years. You have to check on that. I think it's around about that. I might be slightly wrong, but if I am slightly wrong, please put the comments down in the comment section below. But and as far as I can gather, we haven't had a magnetic pole shift for 300,000. So we're well over date.
But the sun does this every 11 years, so it is a solar. It is a system. It is something that happens to planets and stars.
Yeah. It's like a carriage clock. Eventually, the balls come to a stop and they end up spinning the other way. It's just a natural process of time. and once we understand that, we can actually stop worrying about it and start concentrating on living life, and living it fully and enjoying it every single second, So I think that's really important. This is just another one that you'll have the link below as well. So when there is a CME that comes out, here is Earth here. Here is Mercury. There's Venus there, and there's Mars. So we can just see the vibrations that are coming through the Earth fields at that given time. So this is a good thing to look at when they get solar, when you get a CME, to see if it's coming in our direction. I hope you all got that. There's a lot of information, wasn't it?
Yeah, I mean, presumably, we've just done a recent video on, or you have on astrology. This is having a bearing. The planets may be aligned in a certain way, but the sun is interacting with them every single day, every single second of the day. So this must have a bearing on the planets and the influences that they have on us.
Totally. And we go into it on the Astroflower, our books on the Astroflower, and I will be going into it with Silver Phoenix as well, which you will be joining, I should imagine, in the future. We do a weekly thing on the different star signs on the Cymatic TV, but also we do on the Astroflower, which is our version of astrology, but not necessarily taking into account the planets, but we do go into how the sun affects it all, the rhythms and everything like that, don't we?
Yeah. So we're coming more from a sun's perspective than from an individual planetary perspective.
Yeah, so we give you the tweaks that maybe astrology will never be able to give you.
It's just more real time, as in the sun. We don't know what the sun is going to do day by day, so it's a more real time update to what's actually happening, what influences are happening.
As I said, we put the links all down below. You get the links for all our books as well and everything like that. But this is the sun, this is solar ham, and it's just a good way of observing the sun in different types of telemetry, of different vibrations or different wavelengths of light and etc. There are some really weird and quirky ones, which I find really interesting, ways of looking at the sun. Here we can see the big coronal holes. This is the 211, which is pretty good. I find for looking at sunspots. The 193 is pretty interesting, but there's nothing really here at the moment that we can see.
But the sun's not really giving us very much at the moment in a way of vibration.
No. People talk about the Earth's vibration increasing and the vibration is increasing. That is so wrong. You couldn't get that more wrong. People talk about their vibration. What's happening is basically the vibration is getting so low that the moment you get a little bump in the system, you're going to feel it like a tsunami, because the energy is really low at the moment. It hasn't been this low for thousands of years. So if you're listening to YouTube channels that are saying the energy is increasing and everything like that, they don't know what they're talking about.
Can we have a quick look at the geomagnetic on the first page of Solar Ham? That's something I look at on a daily basis to see what effect.
So this one here.
On the first page, the bars that showed the geomagnet. Yeah,
that's it.
Yeah.
So this is the magnetic field of the Earth.
Indicator of especially coronal hole activity and geomagnetic storming and things like that. Which again, people use it to see if the aurora are going to be visible. But I find that quite interesting to watch as far as...
We did have last week, and we can see it down here, we did have a big solar storm. Well, I said big solar storm. A small solar storm that came through. And as it did come through, it really did affect the Earth. And I don't know, you tell us in the comments below, last week, was it a little bit of a tricky, trying time emotionally for everybody?
Yeah, I felt it was quite a heavy week.
Exactly. It was. You felt like there was a bit of sand in the sandwich. You know what I mean? As you're eating the sandwich, you go, oh, yeah, what's that? You know what I mean?
It was difficult to make progress.
Yeah, exactly. So,
I find that interesting to be able to observe that and sometimes, apply it to how you're feeling, or if you're finding something particularly challenging, what is going on the sun? Is it having a bearing? And, I'm finding that it certainly does.
Yeah, totally. Well, we've got here is one of my maps where I show the main energy lines. People call them ley lines and stuff like that. And we will be doing a video. We tried to do a video. We went to visit the heart chakra down in Glastonbury, and that was amazing, wasn't it? It was great fun.
Absolutely
And we
fantastic.
tried to do video, but it ended up coming out, the sound came out really bad, so we got to redo it. But the heart chakra is here around Glastonbury. It's actually down in Cornwall. And this is my map of these lines that go through, and you have the root chakra down in South America, crown chakra in Mount Kailash, the sacrum, which is in Shasta, the solar plexus, which is down in Australia, and I've got the throat and the third eye chakra, which is more sort of heading towards China and Japan, Mount Fuji area. I think there's a big change going on at the moment, and I think this is one of the main changes. And these, just to sort of say, when all this sun activity affects the Earth, this is the sort of lines, this is the vibrations that it's going to be affecting, and this can give us a heads up on the mood of the human society, and we will be doing this once a week. This is a video just to give you the background information, but we will be sort of like reading the vibrations as they come down the tube to us, won't we?
Yep.
Yeah. And when you read these lines and feel these lines, you can then start understanding the earthquakes. So at the moment, there's quite a few earthquakes down by the root chakra, down there. Look at that lovely little, quite a lot of...
Mount Shasta.
Exactly. So what's going on in society? It's all about root problems and all about me, me, me. You look at what's going on in America. It's all about, what about me? It's all about separations into, different races, which is completely, the ironic thing about racism, I'm going to put this on Facebook. The only ironic thing about racism is it's got nothing to do with colour. It's, do you know what I mean? It's, anyway. And, we got also in the throat chakra up here, which is kicking off, and a little bit, there's quite a heavy stuff around the solar plexus. So it's root problems. It's all about me. It's being expressed at the moment vocally and visually, as it were, and it's got a lot of weight, solidness behind it, a lot of anger, a lot of,
So without pointing fingers, but the American election would be a prime example of all of this being expressed at the moment. Strong expression, stating their corner. Yeah.
But also, if you look at what's happening in Australia as well, and in the UK with all this, mayhem of a flu that's going around, another video, another day. Yeah. So, and this migration does affect people on a physical level. And I've noticed it through my healing loads, through eczema outbreaks, with people having eczema things and stuff like that. I can almost see it.
Can you explain about the effect with sunspots and like heart conditions? Because that was quite enlightening when you explained about that.
Yeah. When you get, this is a Russian study. I haven't got it up here, so you'll have to find the link, but you can find it very easily now on the internet. When there is a sunspot explosion, it's very fast vibration of the prana wind, and that you have heart attack rates go sky high during those periods.
Because it is affecting the electrical system of your heart, of the human.
Exactly. It's affecting your aura, it's affecting your chakras, and that's where people should get involved in how you keep your well-being state. It's really important. There's been papers that came out this week, and this should be said from a YouTube channel called Suspicious Observers. We will put it in the link below. They are fantastic. Ben Davison, he's a top man. You should sign up to his channel, watch it on a daily show that's at last 5 minutes. He's absolutely brilliant. And he was talking about the health conditions the other day. And so I took the links off there just to help us out in this video as well. So thanks a lot, Ben, for that. But everyone should really sort of subscribe to his sort of channel. And these are scientific papers that came out this week. So we've got one here, which is the heliogeomagnetic, so that's the vibration of the sun, parameters and pathology of the digestive organs in patients of different ages. So they're saying that basically the change in the ambient fields of the magnetic field of the earth and the magnetic field of the vibrations coming from the sun can actually change the pathology of your stomach and your intestines, you know, and so that's quite an interesting read. It'd be worthwhile if you want to go and read through that. Another one, which is, we've probably all known this for years, and this is why we say lunatic, although, you know, medically they won't say this at all. Another paper that just came out the 13th of May this year, synodic lunar phases and suicide, based on 2,605 suicides over 23 years. A full moon peak is apparent in premenopausal women from northern Finland. Now, this is only a study in northern Finland, but if you take it across the world, it'd be interesting to see, you know. And we've all noticed it, that, you know, sometimes you don't sleep very well when it's been a full moon and stuff like that, you know. And there was one last week, and it came during the day. So it made people a little bit more sort of during the day, a little bit more hectic, which increases sand effect in the sandwich sort of feeling about life. Yeah. Another one is the reactions of the automatic nervous system. So this is all to do with the brain and stuff like that, of healthy males on the natural and simulated conditions of the geomagnetic fields. So there is studies out there, and you can see this all the time, you know, and this is the basic background information that we're talking about, and how it affects us, you know, how it affects the world and its chakra system and how it affects us. And we will be going through this once a week on a show to explain that, and then following up once a week also on the Astroflower show. So a lot of information there.
Yeah, we're probably overloaded now, Tom. I think we probably should cut that now.
Yes. So
we've given a lot of information.
As I say, the links will be in down below for the videos that we used and for some of the sites that we've mentioned and stuff like that. It's going to take time to understand. This is why when we do the shows every week, you'll start to understand, because you'll get repetitive things coming back all the time, and you've connected the dots, you know. And you're not an astrophysician; you're an energy hypnotherapist.
Yeah, it's taken time, but yes, it is about connecting the dots, and once you start seeing it and seeing the evidence, then, you know, it fully makes sense. Which is, you know, fantastic as a heads up in life. You know, day to day, you have more information about, you know, how you are, how you're feeling, even how, you know, how your clients are, what they're going through, or at that point in their life. It all has relevance. And you've done my workshops, and, you know, in the workshops we connect all of these dots, and then we connect the people to the vibrations physically. Yeah. And it is an amazing effect. I've been doing it for 20 years, and it's I mean, and that's a video I'm looking forward to doing. You know, when we're dowsing, when we are tuning into the Earth's energies and actually feeling the vibrations and getting information from the Earth, and the Earth's getting its information from the sun as well. So, you know, the whole thing ties together. So it is a fascinating looking at the interconnections and how they affect us. But thank you, Tom. That's a phenomenal amount of information. You know, it's taken me 2 years. Yeah. We've just had I don't know how long that video was, but we've had a bit of a whistle-stop tour of the sun.
I don't know how long it is either, but
fascinating. But we will be going into, you know, to more detail of bits of it, as you say, through the Astroflower, where, you know, that again is a fascinating read. Other than just affecting your, you know, as an individual, it's got some very, very interesting information generally. How the world's been operating,
and it's not that complicated if you approach it with a logical mind.
Yeah.
It's not that complicated. It is observation which will help you understand over a period of time.
And it is more mechanical. It is more, real, rather than things that you might witness that maybe us mere mortals do not. So yes, it's good. It's good information. Okay,
we're not mortals. None of us are mortals. We're all going to live forever. You know that. I know that.
Obviously.
I mean, it's just this body here may give up eventually. Yeah. My beard started giving up already. Look, you know what I mean? I'm going for Father Christmas this year.
Brilliant. Right. Well, thank you. And until the next video, if you like this video, please click the like button and
subscribe.
Hit the notifications for future videos.
Yes. Subscribe,
as it will help us, share this with more people.
Yeah.
And help more people.
Yeah. And share it as well. Share this video around. Yeah. Share it with people on Facebook. Share it everywhere you find yourself. Because it's good if you get people around you that start understanding as well, it's going to make your life easier.
Yeah, and instead of talking about the weather as in the rain, we can talk about the space weather, and that makes it far more relevant and wide-reaching in its impacts. Right, okay, so thank you, and we will join again soon. Ciao for now.
Ciao for now, bye.
Don't believe, just know. Cymatic TV. Turning vibration into reality.